This meeting is being recorded.
Okay, welcome to all for our next Black Latina Summit with two amazing Black Latinas who are really doing their thing in the content creating world. And we've been friends for quite some time on social media, using that as a platform to kind of like network with each other. And I've been watching their careers for some time and like, we got to work together and we got to, and they've just been growing their careers, just elevating and taking it to the next level and utilizing social media, right? So what does that mean and how does that look, right? Being a content creator for us, right? Back in the day, a content creator was like a producer, right? A writer, you're creating content. But now in the digital world, what does that look like for us as women of color, as Black Latinas, and these spaces that we don't always fit in or are not always seen as the go-to people? So without further ado, I want to introduce these two amazing powerhouse women. We have Eliana Reyes. She is a dynamic Afro-Latina with a bright personality and infectious smile. She is a multidisciplinary artist and entrepreneur with a profound passion for storytelling and creatively bringing narratives to life. She works as a TV host for LA TV Network and is also an actor with appearances in several independent film projects, and a commercial fashion model featured in several independent ads, over 50 ads for commercials like American Airlines, Adidas, Best Buy, Target, and more. A true Renaissance woman, not only does she work on camera, but simultaneously works behind the camera as a producer, writer, blossoming filmmaker. Recently, she was selected as the 2022 We All Grow Latina Storyteller sponsored by Pure Leaf, and was also chosen as the co-host for the 2022 New York Latino Film Festival sponsored by HBO Palante. Welcome, Eliana.
Thank you.
Now we have another amazing Latina that I adore and loved her work for so long. What drew me to her was not a lot of people's handles or their bios say Black Latina. So when I saw it, I was like, wait, Boundless Black Latina? What? Who is this? That's always a trigger for me. Because obviously that's what the Black Latina movement is about, and not a lot of people identify that way or even use that titling. So that was what brought me to Miss Corvaya. So Corvaya is an accomplished journalist, sought-after digital strategist, speaker, and multifaceted digital creator. Born to a Puerto Rican mother and Black father in the inner city housing projects of Hoboken, New Jersey, Corvaya represents the Afro-Latina community. She is most recently known for her appearance on Oprah Winfrey's network #1 TV show, Ready for Love. She has worked in the media industry for 14 plus years, starting from square one, unpaid internship. Communication giants such as CNN and Garnet USA Today have trusted her to report, produce, and strategize within their ecosystem. She now leads in charge of the audience development through email, SMS marketing at Revolt. Corvaya helps over 350 men and women level up their professionally through one-on-one mentorships, workshops, and conferences. Welcome, Corvaya.
Thank you. Hi,
how are you, lady? Round of applause, right? Like those bios.
Like,
hey.
Come on. Your bio is always like, oh,
like, hello, it's me. I just want to jump right in. So what does content creating mean to you? What does it represent for you?
I'll let you lead that one.
Oh yeah. When you were mentioning content creation and what it used to be, we don't hear that a lot. And it brings me back to that time where a lot of positions that I've held in media, even when I was 18 and started my first paid media job, we were content creators then. We just didn't call it that. And we're so young, we're in our early 30s, and it makes me appreciate how much we've been able to do and how far we've come and how much technology, journalism, And social media has evolved and we've been a part of it all, because I'm thinking, man, I've been a content creator, honestly, if you really want to get into it, since I had a MySpace account.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so we've been practicing and telling our stories and telling other people's stories all of our lives, really. And now we add titles to it, and there's structure and there's professionalism, and we have companies that our names are attached to now. But when I think about what content creating is today, I always think about the word storytelling. And no matter how evolved we experience, no matter what evolution we experience through artificial intelligence or how technology continues to evolve, storytelling is always going to be at the root of it. And so I truly believe that content creators are storytellers, whether you're telling your story or someone else's story, whether you're telling a story through audio, video, through words, through interviews. A lot of times when we're having conferences like this and summits like this, we're telling our story. And those stories are impacting other people, influencing other people. It's sparking like a change in other people's minds. So that's content creating, I think, at the forefront, at the base of it. And now, you know, content creation is a lot of times defined with how many followers you have, how big your audience is, what technology and equipment you use. But I think we still have to remember and appreciate the foundation of it, which is telling stories.
Mm-hmm. Very true. Very true.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think storytelling is at the base of content creation. I think one thing that is overlooked, that doesn't get talked about enough, is you have to have a certain joy or like passion for producing to be a content creator, because at the end of the day, you have this idea, you have to be able to synthesize that information, you have to be able to take this idea and put it into something, be it a reel, be it a TV show, be it a presentation, whatever it is you're creating for someone else to experience what it is you're trying to tell, what story you're trying to tell, or what kind of feeling you're trying to invoke onto people. I feel like that's content creating, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it goes hand in hand with producing. And a lot of people are like, oh, I'm a content creator, but really, like, you're producing things. You know what I'm saying? You have this idea, you have this vision, and especially if you're creating reels, right? And if you create reels that, short format, where it's like we're syncing it up to music, and people love that because it makes them feel something, right? So it's like, even when you see these reels that have like, it's just like a melancholic song and maybe like a text pops up. What we really love is that, oh my God, that text popped up right when that song said, my heart is broken, and it made you feel something. And that's why you decide to share it or you decide to save it. So it really is about like creating an experience for people that want to receive. And if you understand what people are thirsting for, then then you make it based on that. But at the you strip everything away, it is definitely storytelling and invoking emotions in people.
I love that. And it's true. And I feel like in the social media space, now they're monetizing it. So it's becoming like a whole business outside of, like, if you produce your own projects, now you're producing within social media. And I think that there's so much as far as like content creating in social media, but how important, I guess, to you as Black Latinas in these spaces, because Eliana, we spoke about this earlier about these young like kids on YouTube creating YouTube channels, making like $26 million off of like gaming, right? How important is it to you to be in these spaces and be represented as a Black woman, as a Latina, when, obviously we companies are just shelling out money to kids just playing video games? How do you feel about, I guess, the importance of being in those spaces?
Yeah, I'm really passionate about being in those spaces, as long as I don't feel like I'm compromising just like who I am and what I care for. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that it's really easy to be like, oh, that's what's making money, I'm going to go do that. And then it's not authentic to you, right? And I think that for me personally, it's always quality over quantity as far as like what I'm creating and what feels authentic to me. But one of the things that I've been focusing on a lot, especially since I moved to LA, because LA really pushes you to figure out who you are. You don't want to be out here and not know who you are. I can tell you that much, you know, is really showing up as myself, like my full self on social media, so that when companies are looking for, you know, someone that represents, you know, both the Black and the Latina experience, or when companies are looking for someone that has a personality, that have whatever, it's easy to find me, you know. They don't have to decipher when they go through my stuff or whatever. And I think that it gets a little difficult sometimes when you are like up against, you know, like the gamers, let's say, or even just like other people that are just like bloggers, but they've monetized their blogs. And so you're constantly trying to figure out like, okay, well, how can I have access to that type of money, right? And I think also we have to think about someone in my position, right? I'm an independent woman of color worker, like I work for myself. I don't have the luxury to just like sit around and create content all day. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to work. I'm hustling to like connect, to network, and then I'm creating to make money off camera, on camera. So it's like, I can't just be at home all day with my tripod, being like, here's this tea, you know? So sometimes I feel like there's a little bit of privilege that might go into that, you know, of just like,
sure.
If you're able to just sit at home all day and create, because maybe you don't have to pay, you know, $2,000-$3,000 of rent a month, or maybe you don't have kids, or maybe you don't, you know, you're just in a position where you're able to do that. Obviously, then you can hone in on that and make that your thing, you know, and then you can also make it through the time that it takes to monetize your content. Many of us, I think, people in like largely marginalized communities, we have to work 2, 3, 4, 5, do 6 different things, especially if you're independent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I sometimes have to remind myself to eat, you know, like it's for real. That's how it is. So, you know, that's the part where I'm like, sometimes I sit and I'm like, yo, like who has all of this time in a day? You know what I'm saying? And that's real. Like that's no shade or no judgment. It's just like I have shit to do. You know, like I got shit to do. So I have to figure out what works out for me, you know. But I will tell you that engagement has now become something that a lot of monetization opportunities are after versus numbers. So we'll get into that later.
Corvaya, anything, or you feel the same way?
I feel the same. I feel the exact same way, Eliana. And something that I have kept in mind throughout my process and my journey, well, to start, a bulk of the money that I've made through content creating has come from partnerships or deals. So a lot of times there's a conversation, there's an agreement, there's a contract, but you know, there are thousands of content creators out there who are making money from views, from clicks, from, you know, monetizing their blog, from people visiting their YouTube channel. So my bread and butter when it comes to content creating is always a partnership, an agreement, and a contract, a payout. And a lot of times those are far and few between. I might have one contract every 3 months. I might have 4 contracts a year, right? And so then I have to think about how am I going to negotiate? What stuck out about me to this particular person or this company or this brand, and how can I lean into that without losing, you know, who I am? It's a lot. And I think that there's a million ways to make money as a content creator. And what I'm still exploring and what I'm constantly encouraging other people to explore is what way works for you, right? If you focus too much on making money 1,000 different ways through content creating, you are not giving 100% to one lane. So it's like finding your lane within that content creation space, and choosing that lane and then making your money that way. So I just wanted to add that in there, but I think Eliana, you kind of touched on that a little bit. And I agree with just the sentiment that no, I don't have time to be home all day creating content. I don't. But what I love is that I've been able to be fluid in my career, and I actually found a company that I feel values me, what I represent, my culture even, and it's almost like it's I'm really blessed because I can go to a Revolt event or show up at a Revolt event because maybe I had a hand in X, Y, and Z and they need me there to cover X, Y, and Z. I'm working, I'm on the clock, I'm worried about the money I'm making from my bills, right? My foundation. But Revolt is so dope and so innovative and so forward thinking that a lot of that experience can be content as well that I'm sharing with my friends, with my followers, and I can get deals off of that. So for example, we have a big summit every year called Revolt Summit. I think it'll be Revolt World this upcoming year. And it is not a surprise to my coworkers or colleagues when I'm walking around with a tripod or I set something up or I ask them to get into a photo with me or I ask for a quick interview or I pull out my, my clip-on mic. It's not weird because we're all in this space. This is what we do as a company. This is what we do as a brand. We work for somebody who's a content creator. And so I've been able to find a place where I am spending 40, 50 hours a week where I don't have to separate my professional life and my personal life or my content creation from my work life. I've been able to merge the two, and that's really been great for my sanity, my mental health, time management, how I manage people, the relationships that I have. It all kind of fits into one world, and I wish everybody had that experience.
That's such a blessing to have. That's such a blessing to have. Yeah,
that's really important too, because I think a lot of people sometimes think of like content creating and they think of something outside of themselves. And for someone like me, right, like I'm the content, like I'm the content. So it's like, whether it's me showing you what I'm doing today, whether it's me showing you how I got invited to this thing, or it's me showing you that, hey, I got booked for this big commercial, let me show you some behind the scenes. That's how I've been able to grow my followership, right, my followers. And in doing those types of things and in opening my life in that way, which sometimes can be a little uncomfortable because sometimes I'm like, well, how much do I want to share, right? And how much do I want people all up in my business? I've been able to work with companies, or I've booked big commercials. I've booked really big gigs that then have given me more exposure. So I think also not shying away from just like, I'm just going to show you me and this is what I do. And sometimes I think that's where being a woman of color, a Black woman of color, a plus size Black woman, right? Where sometimes I get in my head where I'm like, oh, well, like, I'm being too vain. I'm being too much about me. Like nobody wants to see me all day. And then thankfully I have people in my life that they're like, no, like we have to see you. Those little girls need to see you. They need to see your panza when you sit down in your talk show, that you don't have a flat stomach. They need to see, your chubby face and your double chin when you're like on camera. They need to see your hair. They need to hear your experience, so not shying away from just like remembering that like you are a vessel for your content. And that monetization most likely will come because of who you are and how you do what you do.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? There
was a moment where I was recording everything and I was getting all the content. I still got content that I'll be using this year from 2021, okay? But I didn't turn the camera to myself enough. So there was a shift where I had to really step into accepting that, one, people want to see me, kind of like accepting that and being happy about that and celebrating that and not being your own worst, critic, right? Or I'm very spiritual. So yes, sometimes feeling vain and feeling like my ego is taking over and feeling like I'm being too into myself does come into play. But just remembering and accepting that people want to see you, it makes your content way more interesting because everything that you're recording, somebody else can record and put out the same thing. So you are what makes your content unique. And a lot of times I have seen people who are less fortunate than me in some ways. They're still beautiful, obviously, but maybe they're handicapped, or maybe they've had a defect, or maybe there's something physically different about them than me. I'm not talking about size or shape of a nose. I'm talking about something that maybe a cleft lip or something like that, right? And they are creating content. And a lot of times that humbles me and it makes me realize that these thoughts that I'm having about how I look, or my eyebrows aren't done today, or I don't have a blowout today, those things that stop me from creating content, that's more vain, right, than anything else. That's more vain than me deciding to flip the camera onto my face, show my smile, put out that positive energy, speak to my people, and do my thing. So I had a shift. I had that shift, and I started, you know, embracing the moment a lot more and saying, it doesn't matter if I'm not wearing this particular shirt or sweater or my hair's not done. This is a moment I need to create the content. I'm not going to wait till 2 weeks from now. You know, I'm going to do it today, right now. So that's helped me a lot. And then I just wanted to add this last sentiment. There's a statement that I've shared that I've seen and witnessed impact a lot of people. It's to, when it comes to me, you know, having a career and still wanting to work in media, but still work as a content creator too on my own time, you have to decide what you want your lifestyle to be and what you envision for your life, and then choose a job that fits into that. Because times what we were taught by our mothers and our grandmothers, you pick a job and then you build your life around that job. You pick a job that makes you money and then you build your life around that money maker. It's like, I don't know, forget what I want to do this year. What is my job going to allow me to do? And I'm a big advocate for, you know, envisioning the life that you want to live and then trying to figure out what job or what career or what company, right, that has more resources, that has more access than I do, what fits into that. And I think Revolt does that for me. But it took me a while. It took me, 6 or 7 companies, 8 to 10 bad bosses, terrible experiences to get to that point. But it's huge. It's just a big life changer when you start to change your mindset to, I'm gonna find a job that fits into the lifestyle that I want, instead of creating a lifestyle based on the job that I have.
Yeah. I love it because, like you were saying, but both of you kept like reiterating that it's the type of creating, right? Like, we all think that when you're creating content or you're doing a reel or whatever, you have to have your makeup, you have to have this finished, look. And it could be you on the go, like you said, Corvaya, like you're at an event. It's great, it would be great for us to see you in a full beat face of makeup and you're, in a setup. But I think it's so much more interesting, like you were saying too, Eliana, to have quality over quantity. So you could bang out 4 different reels of you with a beat face and doing, little stories or whatever, but it would be great to see you on the move, your BTS or your day-to-day or what that looks like. And I think it definitely creates more depth, right? We get to see you in a way that it doesn't have to always be put together or perfect. And I love that, because I think that we always have this thing in our mind of like, we have to be perfect. We have to look a kind of way, we have to be, and that's not true. Right. And I think that we will get more engagement from women that look like us, that understand that, as opposed to this fake idea of what we're supposed to look and be like. So I think that's important. Yeah. And I love that.
It can't be so curated. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, and there's going to be those moments, right? Like, we'll do our little photo shoots and our little glam looks, but then it's always nice to kind of get to see who the person is behind that. And I think it definitely builds, your audience and the character of that. What are some, I guess, failures and pitfalls of people who like content create? From the years of you creating content, what are things that you realize just don't work?
There's something that I'm still actually like working through. So before I decided to be an independent artist and pursue my modeling and acting, whatever career, I was a project manager for a very like conservative financial institution, right? And the last year and a half that I worked there, I was running their social media. And the level of scrutiny that I was under, I'm talking about down, like, it was so bad. It literally left like trauma in me. So I see it still. I've been away from that company since 2018. And I still to this day feel that little like jitter anxiety when I post on my actual feed, right? I'm active in my stories. Like my followers, like, they know, they're like, oh, I want to see what Eliana's up to. They go to my stories. My feed is like, it's like a treat, right? So I have to work on getting out of my own way to actually post on my feed, right? Because I think that it's not just something personal for me to just get over that, like, that, oh my God, I'm gonna be, you know, like somebody's gonna tell me I misspelled something, or like this doesn't, nobody wants to see this. And also the permanency of the feed, right? The feed stays there unless you archive it. The story's gonna disappear, right? It's like a quick hit. So that doesn't work, right? Like I mean, I think that we have to, if we're gonna create and we're gonna put stuff out there, we have to put stuff out there. And nobody's gonna put us out there if we don't put ourselves out there. So that's something that I'm personally, you know, that I'm personally working on doing. And also because I feel like I already get so much access to me via socials and to my career, and I'm constantly speaking, and I also produce a show that I'm, you know, and I'm also hosting that show. So it's like I'm out there in a lot of sense of the word. So something about posting on the feed just feels like, oh, I only want to post there when I want to post there, not because I have to, right? That's one thing. So working with your feed and your stories. But then another one too is that I've seen is, like I said, just not that I've seen that it doesn't work, but that for me, when I see it, I just kind of go. It's like the trendy stuff, like the, oh, I'm gonna do this challenge, or I'm gonna, you know, see how long I can balance my teacup on my forehead or something like that. Like, I just feel like that's hot for a second, and then it disappears. You know what I'm saying? But then what ends up happening is that you get these people that gain all these followers because they did the one thing, because they went viral, but then they can't follow up. They can't follow through with what the followership is looking for, because that's not who you are, and that's not what you do, and it's not authentic, right? It was a moment. So for me, what I've seen, pages that I see that I really like to engage with, and even pages that I like crave and that I go and see what they're up to or what message they have for me or whatever, are the pages that have like some kind of meaningful message, you know? So I think what I've seen happen is that for a long time, you know, it was like all these dances, you can see balance on your one toe, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then it's gone. You know what I'm saying? And then it's just like, and it happened to me too. Like, I did this one challenge and it went viral. It was like, I don't know how many thousands of views or whatever. And I had all these like weird people following me, and I was just like, I don't even know who you are. Like, I'm used to the people that like want to engage in my content, you know? So I don't know, just like not being authentic, or like if you want to do something fun, still spin it so that it like resonates with your audience, like your following audience that's going to engage with you, you know?
Yeah, I agree with those. Eliana. I've never been one of those challenge people. And there was a time where I thought it was hurting me. It was keeping me from reaching my goals on social media. And I realized like that's hot. And then you got to serve people that weren't attracted to you for what you really offer on a daily or weekly basis. And now your engagement is low and your engagement is down and you're losing followers. So I don't get into that, but a couple of little nuggets of things that I've learned that don't work. One is we are completely moved away from those aesthetically pleasing feeds when it comes to businesses or quotes. So, you know, there'll be people with feeds where they'll have quotes only in the middle of their profile and, you know, reels or photos on either side. We're away from that. We're away from the feeds that have an order, that have a specific, structure. And I say that because we have seen time and time again, people have so many content or so many accounts to look at, so many profiles to look at, right? And when they go to your feed, they can't get bored too quick. You want someone to go to your feed and look through all of your content you want them to go to all the way to 2017 if you had your account that long, because they are experiencing your content. They've seen your growth. They can go to a post on my feed from 2020 and get a little nugget or a gem that they might use today in 2023. So when people go to your profile, and if you want them to stay and you want them to engage, they need to have an experience on your profile, because now they know what to or they don't know what to expect, which makes you more exciting, which makes you more enticing. They know you're going to post again because they see you're obviously active, but them not knowing what to expect is going to be the reason why they stay tuned. A lot of times I think about the old school ways that we brought audience and viewers in. When I used to work in radio, we used to work in television before social media popped off, we brought viewers in by giving them a little taste, right? Or showing them a whole recap of season 1 and then just a little taste of season 2. That's what you're doing on your Instagram feed, for example. They're getting season 1. They saw, you know, all the content you created in 2022. And now it's almost like a tease. You might post on your stories, you know, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. They don't know what you're going to post on your feed next. That's going to be that little tease to what's coming next in your feed or on your account. So just shying away from that structure and that order. A lot of us are like OCD in that way. We want things to look a certain way. We want it to make sense on our feed, but stepping away from that is going to allow people to trust you more, engage with your content and with your brand, because what that gives off is that you're being true to yourself. And even if there's still, you know, a structure and a plan behind the scenes, what it should look like and feel like is that this is organic as possible. That's what helps people, I think, trust you more. Another thing is I've tried this and tested it. I've never read it anywhere. I follow a lot of email newsletters. I get a lot of email newsletters about social media strategy. I have a lot of friends in the business, so I'm always getting tips and tricks. But something that I have experienced that I haven't read anywhere, and I feel like this is like a gem, is when you two things. When you create a reel, if you edit the caption before people engage with it, Instagram is not going to prioritize that reel. So a lot of times I would have a fire reel and I would type the caption so fast. I'm so good at that. But then I'll see a misspelling, or I'll want an emoji in a different place, and I'll see the reel bringing in engagement, but then I'll change the caption and then I lose it.
Wow.
The editing, yeah,
I lose that. So editing a caption on a reel. And also what I've noticed is the more you use features like stickers or polls or locations even in your reels, the more engagement I've gotten. So when I'm creating content internally in the app, even if it's a video from my photo album, or even if it's a video I recorded on my camera, uploaded to my phone, I create it within the reel. I edit it within the reel feature on Instagram, and I use any that makes sense, as many elements as I can that make sense, even if it's just letting Instagram or Reels choose your cover photo, for example. The more I use those things, the more I see that my numbers are going up and I'm getting engagement and new eyes are seeing my content. So, and it makes sense, right? They want people to create within the app. They want you to be on the app as long as possible. And if you're creating content outside the app and then just quickly uploading it and leaving, you're not staying in the app. So that makes sense. I think the last thing is, I've noticed that when I have archived photos, but I bring them back, Instagram prioritizes them. So
really,
I've gotten new engagement on archived photos that I have brought back. And I love that. And we see it all the time. Like, we'll scroll through our Instagram feed and we'll see something and we want to say congratulations, but then we see they posted it 8 days ago. So I've noticed that Instagram is not caring anymore per se about the timing of things. They're looking at what the keywords are in your captions and your titles. They're looking at maybe elements of the photo even to see if that's content that's relevant to the person that's scrolling that day. So if I have a beach photo from a particular beach in Orlando and I hashtag things to do Orlando, if someone's searching for that, and Instagram is trying to show them more posts that they would like, they'll pull up a post from a month ago or 2 months ago, as long as it's catered to what that person is searching for and everything that Instagram has learned about that person. I think that helps us as consumers, and I try to get into the consumer mode as much as I can, but it's hard. When you work in social media and you content create, a lot of times you're not a consumer. You're not even consuming as much as the normal consumer. You're more so focused on the creation part of it. But for work, I have to be a consumer, because the more we create, for our audience, I have to step into the audience point of view every now and then and see like what am I feeling? What am I doing? What are my habits, so that we can understand our audience more. Something I've learned is that as a consumer, it's better for us to have that really curated experience, that specific experience, because that's what keeps us coming to the app. So it makes sense. It sucks as a content creator, because it's like, wait, I want this new shit to be popping. I don't want those, I've moved on from that. But as a consumer, I'm getting what I want because that content is relevant to what I need right now, what I want right now.
Oh my God, those are some good gems for sure, for sure. When it comes to like, so you were talking about earlier about partnerships, and I wanted to kind of like revisit that. When it comes to like partnerships that you ladies have, do you find that what they're offering or what they're giving you is a little different from like other people, like our white counterparts or men? Do you feel like as Black women and Latinas that you're not given the same opportunities?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, I say that because I've noticed that my deals with okay, for example, I'll use Revolt as an example. We are a Black-owned media company. We're small, and we have budgets for everything, obviously. And there are companies that have way bigger budgets than we do. And we have paid content creators the most they've ever been paid, in a sense. You know, we have content creators we've seen that have 1 million plus followers. Engagement is high, and we're offering them a dollar amount, and they're shocked. And we've done the research to know how much should we be paying these content creators, and we still lowball sometimes, and they're impressed. They say yes. They never negotiate. So what that tells me is that all these partnerships that they are being offered, they're getting paid way less than their counterparts. Wow. Now, we always, want to amplify Black voices and Latin voices. We want to amplify those voices. We want to give you as much as we can within our budget. But we've seen how people love doing business with us because they're just not getting paid the same from other people. And these other companies have way more money than us. So there is definitely a gap, between, what a white mom might be paid than what a Black mom might be paid for mother content, for example.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think she's spot on. Like, I haven't experienced, I've just started working with like brand partnerships probably in the last like 6 months. What I have noticed is that as I don't want to use the word notoriety, but like my social media has grown, because again, I didn't say this before, but I never use my social media as anything other than like, I'm working to show casting directors, to show agencies that like I'm a working actor, I'm a working model, So like every time I would book something, I would make sure I'd put on like some BTS pictures, or if I booked a job and I had access to the commercial, because a lot of times you don't have access for legal reasons, they don't give you like the download or whatever. If I could screen shoot it, I would post my commercial. I would post about my journey as like a plus size, like Afro-Latina in the Midwest, because my career started in the Midwest. Pursuing my dreams and my whole journey to moving to LA and getting signed in LA and when that happened. So then I get here and I was just like, oh, I'm gonna make sure that people know I'm Puerto Rican and Dominican. You know what I'm saying? Because that was the thing in the Midwest where like there was no Puerto Rican and Dominican. And so oftentimes a lot of people assumed that I was mixed Black American, that I was like Black American with white American, which obviously, yeah, we look similar, right? But then they'd be like, oh, how do you speak Spanish? Oh, I hear a little accent or this and this and that. And I'd be like, yeah, I'm Latina. And I'm Black too, right? Like, it's like I'm Black and Latina. It's like, it's hard to explain to people that have never lived in coastal cities, or been to the Caribbean. So when I moved to LA, I was just like, I knew that I was going to be up against a lot of like stereotypical looking Latinas, right? And I think that there's layers to that. And so what I have noticed is that some way, somehow, I don't know if it's when I got selected for the We All Grow thing or when I got selected for NILIF, or is it just my content? I started getting invited into these like really dope influencer events, right? Where they say, hey, we're having this exclusive event. We want you to come. We want you to do a step and repeat on the red carpet, this and this and that. And it's cool because you're there, you're with like people you admire. There's a lot of visibility at these events. They're huge networking opportunities. And when I get there, it's like all of the Latina influencers that are there, they all look the same. And then I feel so left out. Like, there's been anywhere from Disney to, I've done Universal. I got invited to do the Super Nintendo World thing. I got to see it before anyone else got to see it and experience it. And they, and I'm constantly, I can name at least 10 times that I have been the only like Black Latina in those spaces, you know? And so then I'm connecting with these influencers, and I'm like, okay, well, how do you do what you do? Or what is it, you know, this and this and that. And then I'm realizing that people are confused about us. People are definitely confused about Afro-Latinidad. People are definitely intimidated by it. And there's so many complexities around it that I just think that sometimes the market doesn't know where to place us. So we have to be very active in like placing ourselves in those spaces. You know what I'm saying? So I can give you a main example. I just took over producing at the same TV station where I host the show. The show is called Black Latina, right? So it's all about the Afro-Latina experience, just like the diasporic experience, right? They brought me on as a producer after I hosted it for a whole year. So now I'm hosting and producing. And now we have another show that they're like, hey, thank you. They're like, hey, we want to cast to the show. We want you to help with the casting, this and this and this and that. So I'm like, okay, we're talking about a show that has to do with beauty. We're talking about Afro-Latinas. You know, this is from an Afro-Latina perspective. So I was very conscious of like, I want to make sure that in those 2 seats, because we only have space for 2 hosts, that I don't care what the other one looks like, but I want to make sure I have a darker skinned Afro-Latina in this seat. Because again, we have to teach the market. We have to tell them in what we're creating and what we're doing, this is what we look like. And this is what we represent. You know what I'm saying? And so too many times we have to choose. And I think that fucks with our money. You know what I'm saying? Because if I have to choose to be Latina, but where the money is, they don't recognize that Latinas look like me, then I'm not going to get the money.
Hello.
And then if I have to choose to be Black, right, Black American, and then the Black American where the money is, they're like, she's not hitting like Black culture, Black American culture, right? Rightfully so, because I'm Caribbean Black. Then I'm not going to get that money. So we have to like teach people like this is who we are and this is what we represent. And truth be told, if you invest in us, your ROI is going to be so much greater because we speak to so many different women of so many different cultures. Because you can look into Arab culture, you can look into Africans, you can look into Caribbean, anywhere. There's women that have those shades of brown. So I'm working on that in my career of like, how can I insert myself in spaces where they don't know what Afro-Latinidad is, so that I can be the one to be like, yo, this is what it is. And let me show you. Look at all these women that represent this voice, you know? And we also got to teach our own Latino companies. Because let me tell you something, okay? Like Univision and all these people, like,
hello,
they're just now, right? Like one of my good friends, she works in marketing in New York, and she went to the 2022 Upfront. And for those of you that don't know, the Upfront is where these media companies go and they see the pitches from these networks and whatever to know if they're going to invest, right? So this is where commercials come in, where like ad payments and all this stuff comes in. And when she got there, there was a massive like 200-foot picture of me at the Univision Upfront of a shoot that I had done for them out here. And she was like, I want to tell you that I've been doing this for 20 something years, and it is the first time that I saw that they had any type of like brown melanated Latinos featured in any of their marketing or in any of anything. So that's happening because we're inserting ourselves, and it's exhausting, right? And it's exhausting, but that's the work that kind of needs to happen. And so I use my social media right now. I've done a lot of just networking with my social media. And so monetization for me right now, I'm like, it'll come when it comes. Like, I'm not necessarily like, today I got to make money off of this post. I'm just like, today I just want people to see that there's an Afro-Latina in this women empowerment conference that typically we don't get invited to. Today I want people to see that I'm the only Afro-Latina that got invited to go see Super Nintendo World before it opened at Universal, you know? And then hopefully when I get opportunities, then I can open the door for other Afro-Latinas, you know? So it's, that's kind of where I'm at with where opportunities lay. And I just feel like the money is in where people and companies feel comfortable, and they feel that they know. And we're just something that we're just now kind of becoming more popular, if you will, even though we've been around forever. You know what I'm saying?
Forever, and ever.
Even though we have famous people that are Afro-Latinos, but they didn't even identify as Afro-Latinos because they had to choose to either be the Black girl or be the ethnically ambiguous girl, which is such a fucked up term to say, right? So yeah, I feel like the more we push and the more we say, yo, I'm here, give me the money, we'll see that change. But I definitely agree that it's not equal right now.
I love it.
I went on my rant.
No, sorry. I love it. I mean, that's what we're here for. No, definitely. I want to open up the floor to our guests if they have any questions, feedback, comments, always, so they can engage with you ladies. So whoever would like to say anything, you could unmute yourself and engage with Eliana and Corvaya while we have them here.
Hi, hello everyone. Thank you, Cristal, Eliana, Corvaya, Sandra, and Janice. I want to say hello to everyone. Thank you for creating this space. I'm looking forward definitely for the theatrical piece of Black Latina movement. Eliana, you've been really a trooper. You've been really pushing an envelope. I see you. I admire you. I really do. And Corvaya, such a pleasure. You really dropped some gems in all this industry. I appreciate you. And, cada uno contributes a little bit into this conversation and narrative. I do it with a podcast, allowing everybody to express their stories, their experience, and just taking it from there, because we have to continue, and there's not enough of us out there. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thank you. I love putting names to faces, like in human form. I'm like, we're still on Zoom, but now I get to see the person. I've been following Chapita Chronicles for a minute too. Like,
yeah. I just want to say, that would help. I just want to say thank you so much. You both dropped some amazing gems. Just even, as an author, I have to tell you, as an indie author, it was a Barnes and Noble manager who took me under his wing, who told me I had to post. And he was just like, I don't care what you post, but you have to post. And because I got to tell you, went into it kicking and screaming. And I just love what you said, that it no longer has to be organized, and it should just people want to see who you are. And so, sometimes it's like what I'm reading, what I'm doing. Like today, it's going to be about General Hospital, because I just came back from a General Hospital event, and, so, and I'm manifesting because I held up I got to hold the Emmy. But I loved what you shared about like just being authentic. And I was reading this morning that there's some content creator, a messy mom, who's out there now, who's showing her messy house, and it's going viral because the curated homes of these mothers with all these children who had the perfect homes. And she's like, this is me, I'm messy. And it's just, so it's really nice to hear that. Could you please both drop your social media in the chat so we can make sure and follow you before we go? I would appreciate that. And thank you so much. And I've learned a lot.
Yes.
Hi guys.
Hi, Jeffries.
So
hello.
I just want to say, of course, I'm here to support y'all, because representation is always something, and I always appreciate the fact that you guys are always speaking out for the little ones. It's like including us in these spaces, because like you said, what one content creator might create, another one, of fair skin might get doing the exact same thing, might get more higher views. So it's like, it's interesting. He's like, I'm doing the exact same thing, but why I'm not getting the same results? So especially when you're in Latino spaces, the word Afro-Latina, we would say like you and I, or, someone of darker skin, that's our identity. But now, since you see it's become a trend where you get the ambiguous looking, Latinas now using the word. And have you noticed how it's becoming more popular now? So it's like, like, how come I said that? I was that. But now you're taking the term away from, the people who've actually struggled, coining that term. So I also appreciate you guys, revamping, like, hey, no, this is our identity. Like, I get that, it's a trend now, but just make sure you know where it's coming from. So
100%. No, I totally,
real.
I love your comment. Yeah, I started this in 2008 and created the Black Latina movement in 2008 when no one or barely no one was saying Black Latina. They were saying Afro Latina and Afro Latina is a real term, right? But a lot of times I also feel like it was being used as a way to push away from Blackness and to use a term that was a little bit more lighter and forgiving than just being strong and saying, honey, we Black. So in my journey, it has definitely been a lot of work and pushback. And I lost a lot of opportunities, right? Even having a word connected to it called movement, right? Like I had a publicist at the time that I was really a big publishing publicity company, PR agency who wanted to sign us, huge PR agency. And they were just like, you have to drop the word movement because the last time people knew about the word movement was the Black Panther movement. And we just don't want you to have anything to do with that. And it was a sell your soul moment, right? Like I was like, if I do this, the movement is going to be huge. I'm going to be on TV. But what does that mean, for me and my people? Then they would have been like, this chick just flipped 2 years ago. She was using movement. So as 15 years later, I'm here and we're still using the movement and the movement keeps happening. And it's just all about staying true to yourself. Like Eliana has said so many times and like Corvaya has resonated just in this entire experience, you just have to stay true to yourself. We're not perfect and we're not a perfect group of people, but the beauty about being a Black Latina is our imperfections and the differences within us. And that's really what connects us and brings us together, is the fact that we could have so many looks, so many different sizes, so many different shades, so many different hair textures. And we don't get to see that enough. So, that's my.
And I also want to see more of us coming together.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And accepting each other, like from the end of the spectrum to the end of the spectrum. Because I think what ends up happening a lot of times is that there's this kind of like selective
it's a clique
association that happens. You know what I'm saying? And to me, I'm just like, if we're truly gonna do this, if we're truly gonna be like, yo, we're here, this is what we represent, we can't be selective about how we show up. Like we have to fully show up, and so that's something that I'm really passionate about. And I think it's something that should be at the forefront. I feel like we should have more spaces like this, to be honest, especially me being out here in LA. LA can be really busy, social and isolating all at the same time. And I think that you said what?
No, I said all at the same time. I used to live in LA and
and so what's wild is that now there's like little spaces where we kind of see each other, but really I've built a lot of community with other Afro Latinos and other Black Latinas here in LA via social media. You know what I'm saying? Like I just be sliding people's DMs like, hey girl, or if I saw them and we said hi, and then when I see them in person, just putting the effort to be like, yo, I want to connect with you. And then whenever I think of something, or if there's something that I could plug you into, or if there's something that I feel like you could benefit from, then like, connecting the dots. Because they're not, the one thing about white people is that they're strong, right? Like white folks they stick together. They, they support each other. They show up as, they're like, we white folks, you know what I'm saying? And And so if we're divided amongst ourselves, you know, like the money holders, the whatever, right? Is less likely that we're going to get those opportunities, and it's less likely that we're going to get those funds. So I really think that, you know, it's all a domino effect. Like, we really should focus on us, our community, on building it, on getting it stronger, on supporting each other, and creating stuff with each other.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
sometimes when I look at my show Black Latina, like, you know, there's times where, like, I really wish, you know, I could get a guest that represents like the darker skin experience, or a guest that represents like a brown person that has blue eyes, because hello, colonization, you know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, like, I don't get that. But still, when I look at the show and I look at what we're creating, and I select like the clips that we're posting, I'm still like very proud that this is like a very brown space. It's a very brown and Black space. And we're talking about these things, and we're like, you know, we're opening opportunities for people to come and share their entrepreneurship, share their work, what they're doing, how they feel in what they're doing, you know? And so I think that we have to create more spaces like that. Like, I want to see conferences where it's just us Black and brown Latinas. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to see this. I want to create, you know, like, see organizations like Women in Film. How about like Afro and Black Latinas in film?
100%. 100%.
Stronger numbers, you know, so.
100%. Well, ladies, before we wrap up, Eliana, tell us what you have going on, what we have to look forward to. You've already dropped your social, so that's great, so people can follow you. Let us know what you got going on, girl.
Yeah, so right now, so on Friday, I'm having a screening of these short films that I did while I was in Minneapolis. It's been a labor of love to create these, because they're very vulnerable stories. They're about me and my real life. And I've been in my head, again, woman of color, of like imposter syndrome, like even calling myself a filmmaker. Like, I'll call myself a model, an actor, or whatever, but filmmaker, I'm like, that's white man's world, you know? So my spirit has been like, girl, you have to birth this, because it's gonna open up so much space for you in your life. So I'm having a screening for my birthday this Friday here in LA at the studio where I filmed the TV show. So I'm excited about that. But then my life's work, I'm working on it right now too. So a lot of people know my father was incarcerated for 26 years. And he was just released and deported back to DR. So I went to DR with my family in January. And I filmed the whole experience. I filmed even us getting ready to go to DR. So I have a really powerful, beautiful, very Black Dominican movie, film documentary, I'm not sure what I'm gonna call it yet, about just like what long-term incarceration has done to our family, but also how my father took it as an opportunity to, you know, he became a pastor, and everything we've been through as his children, and how we're looking forward to now start this new life with him. So I'm editing that right now. I'll be submitted to film festivals. Life threw me a curveball this year, and it was like, hey, you should be producing. And I'm gonna be honest, I had a very, very hard time accepting, I'm not stepping away from on-camera work, but I'm definitely being more intentional. Because in LA, you can feel like you're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and you're just hoping to see what sticks. So by having something that's a little more consistent, it gives me the chance to be like, you know what? I don't want to do this commercial. It doesn't resonate with me. Or, you know what? This project I don't want to host this, you know? So I took on producing at LATV for for LATV Roots, which is all Afro-Latino content. I'm new to it. It's been like 2 months or a month and a half, but I have the show Black Latina under me, and now Shades of Beauty will be re-upping season 2. And so, yeah, and that's, I'm trying to just take care of myself while doing all these things. And I'm trying to surrender in my life a lot more. And so that's what I have, but I'm really excited to start birthing my creations, which is a huge part of being a content creator. It's the actually posting or the actually releasing and screening and showing your work. So that is a constant muscle that I'm trying to keep warm. So that's what I'm up to.
I love that. I love that. And we look forward to the documentary with your dad and seeing what it looks like and seeing that journey. And, you know, who better else to tell it than his daughter? So really look forward to that.
Thank you.
Corvaya, what's up with you, my love? What do you have coming up next?
Yes, first let me say, Eliana, I'm excited for you. I think surrender changes lives. Surrendering, right? So I'm excited for you. And I resonate a lot with you. When I was living in LA, I was pursuing this dream that I had of being on camera. And 2 years later, I really decided, and this was early on, this was before even Instagram popped off, but I really decided that I didn't want to be a talking head. I didn't want to have no impact on people's lives because one of the reasons why I was in LA was all the impact and influence in my life from other people. And they did not influence me or impact me by talking about, what someone was wearing or, where did they get a certain dress from. Don't get me wrong, I love fashion and style, but I needed depth. And once I started leaning into that, I really found myself in other spaces and surrendered to that. And I was much happier. And I'm still evolving, but it's just I'm really happy to hear that. And I'm so excited for you and your journey. For me, what I have going on right now, Corvaya.com is live. It's been live for a while, but I just added a downloadable on there, just something small before a book that I'm writing. The downloadable is called the Life by Design Goal Tracker. And really, it's a couple of sheets that help other people ask themselves the questions that I ask myself to figure out what type of life I envision for myself. So then I could find a career or a job around, that fit within that. So a lot of times women are hitting me up for mentoring for how to ace an interview, how to ace their resume. A lot of the women that I'm mentoring, even young men, are still very much in corporate America, right? They're trying to climb this corporate ladder, and that's fine. And I love that for them. I mean, hey, there's benefits, there's structure, right? There's plans, there's somewhere to go and show up every day. And I think people get a lot of experience from working for these companies. And I never shy away from advocating for a 9-to-5 for certain communities. I think it's healthy. It can be healthy as long as you're able to be authentic and you can milk it and you can make it work for you. So this goal tracker that I have online is just $16. It's been so useful for so many people. I made it accessible for a lot of people, and it's really helped a lot of people center themselves and figure out what it is that they really want and stepping away from what they think they want based on what other people have done or what the steps are that we've all been told we need to do this first, go to school, then do this, then do this. So the goal tracker is live. It's called the Life by Design Goal Tracker. I am writing a book, so I'll release it at some point. I'm looking forward to that. It's just a process. What I'm doing is writing the book in parts and then allowing myself to experience and live more so that I have more to write about and more soul and heart to put into what I'm writing. I'm really excited about that. At Revolt right now, essentially I'm a marketer. I work in marketing for the company, and I focus on email strategy and SMS strategy. So a lot of times we're promoting our original programming and our original shows via email and via SMS. But my goal for 2023 with the company is to build more newsletters. So I'm looking for voices and writers to help me build these newsletters to change the world, to change the email space. Email is not going anywhere. And then I'm also looking for content creators and influencers to run campaigns with SMS wise with our Revolt numbers. So that might look like, okay, April is Financial Literacy Month. I need a content creator to offer money tips via text through the Revolt number to all of the Black and Latina people that text us on a daily basis. And then last but not least, on Ready to Love, the dating reality show that I was on for the Oprah Winfrey Network, let me just start by saying that it wasn't scripted. Everything you see in here is me and my thoughts and me. Now it is edited down. Sometimes I would go on dates on that show and the dates would last 2 hours and then we would watch it and it'd be 2 minutes. So you can imagine how much is taken out of that date. But we're coming to the end of the season now. And the reunion is split into 2. So it's 2 episodes. So I'll be at the reunion and I will be sharing my experience from the season. But most importantly, I'm going to be sharing content from the reunion. So I really want people to just engage with that content, share that content, and show the network that I'm a crowd favorite.
That's right, girl. That's right.
Yeah, thank you so much, Crystal, for having me. I look forward to learning more.
Thank you so much for coming on. Love finding ways for us to all work with each other, and just creating these kind of spaces. So love it. As always, the movement keeps on moving. We have a Talk and Tequila in New York City next week, and we also have we'll be in St. Paul on the 30th for a show in McAllister College of Black Latina the Play. So as always, moving and moving. But I want to thank you guys for coming on, and we will be sharing the recording on IG and all our social media, so everyone can look at the gems and see how important and impactful the things that you've been saying and helping other Black Latina creatives. And that's awesome. Have a great Saturday, ladies. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.